I want to make movies. It's a dream that I've had not all my life, I don't think, but for a long time. That's for sure. I remember my first favorite movie being Apollo 13 when I was in like the 5th grade, and the way Ron Howard worked the camera and the acting and the set pieces and the tension and everything that was brought together in that film. When I think back to what brought a love for movies, I think it was that one. But it's hard to say because my whole life I've grown up watching movies with my parents. You know, they tell me the first movie that I saw at the theater was Curious George, and to this day it's one of my favorite movies, and I love the song Upside Down by Jack Johnson, and he's one of my favorite artists. But I grew up going to the movies and watching movies on the couch and just absolutely loving the time that I had. And when I say first favorite movie that I remember, I mean, Apollo 13 being one, it's a long shot because, I mean, when I was a little kid, I loved Brother Bear, and I loved Prince of Egypt, and The Lion King, and The Incredibles, but there's so many movies that I look at now, and I think, what brought me here to wanting to make movies? To being a writer and wanting to work a camera and shoot all these things that I envision in my head, because I'm the kind of person that writes in their head, if that's a way to think about it. I went through a breakup recently. Not recently, it's been a couple months, but I went through this breakup and it was pretty bad. And I remember my good friend, one of my best friends, he told me, "It seems worse for you because you write movies in your head." And it hit me like a truck. Like, I completely understood what he said because it's true. All I do on a daily basis is I fantasize. When I'm in class, or when I'm at the gym, or when I'm driving, all I'm doing is I'm thinking about these movies. And not necessarily a movie that I'm gonna write, but the story of my life and what I want it to look like. I instinctively write dialogue in my head. I have conversations with myself, not with myself, you know, but it's like when you're in the shower and you're thinking of a conversation you're gonna have with another person and how that conversation would turn out. That is always happening for me, and it's how I write now. When I write these screenplays, when I write dialogue, it's like I'm having a conversation with another person. You know, like when I'm texting someone, I'll say a sentence, and I can know what their response is going to be to my text instinctively because I wrote it in my head. And it's so weird to think about that that's how my brain works. And on top of that, when I'm writing all these sequences in my head, when I'm fantasizing and romanticizing all these life points, I'm thinking about, where would I put a camera in this situation? How would I film this? Still frames, moving, shot for shot, right? Is it a reflection in the mirror? Are we far away? Are we up close? All these different things. And it comes from my love of movies and wanting to make movies. And for a long time, I've had several dream films that I want to make. I've written so many things. And now it's hard to pinpoint which one is the real dream. Which one is the dream that's going to take over? Which one is the dream that I'm absolutely going to pursue? Is it all of them? Is it one of them? A handful? How many more am I going to write? It's a question I think about daily. And now I'm thinking, how do I actually do this? Because I'm a junior in college and I'm not pursuing film of any kind, yet I sit here and I'm making movies. I'm writing constantly, taking notes and watching new things, watching old things, because why not rewatch the movies you love? One of the ones that I've probably rewatched the most in the past 2 years, because the movie came out 2 years ago. It was The Worst Person in the World by Joachim Trier, if I'm saying that right. When that movie came out, was not on my radar. It's a Norwegian film, for one, and I don't know, it was in the Oscar running for Best Foreign Film, and one of these guys that I follow on Instagram who reviews movies, he praised the hell out of it. And I thought, all right, well, I like this guy's reviews, and I like the way he thinks, so I might as well give it a shot. So I watched it, and I bought it on Amazon one day, and as soon as I finished that movie, I was just, that feeling of wanting to make movies was there again. Because if you've seen the movie, it's very real, and it's very fantastic, if you could say that. It's romantic. It's a girl living her life in her 20s and being lost and not knowing what she wants to do and having these relationships, and it's just, it made me feel real, and it made me feel seen, and it made me feel like, oh, I can make something like that, or I can make more than that. And it goes back to some of my favorite movies being, The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Star Wars, and then, the Marvel pictures, which, films, not films, who gives a shit, right? But when you're at the theater and you're watching something play out on the big screen, you're watching someone's hard work, and you're watching someone's dreams play out. And that's amazing to me, because I have dreams too. I'm thinking of movies all the time because I want to make them. And to be able to do that, I don't know, it seems very far off. I don't have any money. I don't have any connections. Well, as far as I know. But I don't know. The idea of one day making a movie, it still sits in my head. And here I am, writing away. I recently watched Mid-90s for 4th, 5th time. I lost count. I saw it in theaters when it came out with my mom. I think I was 13. And I was 13, right? She wasn't big on that movie for her, up-and-coming son who's fresh into high school and into skateboarding, for one, because I was adamant about skating when I was in high school and middle school. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pro. And when I was in high school and middle school, when I was skating, what was I doing? I was filming. I was making shitty little YouTube videos with my friends. And I used to watch these vloggers that skated, and I'd see them set up their cameras, and I just thought, wow, that's so cool. They're getting these little cinematic shots of a kickflip down a staircase, and I'm like, damn. Movies, skating film, they're not the same thing, but in a way they are, because it's people doing what they love. They're filming, right? And they're filming something that they love. And movies, everything that I've written, it's like a passion project for me. It's not just some garbage that I got from, what do you call it? Like a prompt, like those novel prompts or story prompts. I hated those when I was in grade school. Absolutely hated those. When the teachers would whip out those, I'd write a good 5-10 pages for one of those little prompts, and they'd be like, why'd you write all this? I'm like, well, I had ideas. But everything that I've written was original from me and my passions. I've written about a chef. I've written about pro skaters. I've written some things that I don't preclude to at all in life. I have a screenplay and a fucking novel about a guy going through grief of the loss of a wife. I haven't done that. I haven't gone through that. I'm 20 years old. Hell, I don't know where I was able to pump out a full novel based on that, but I was. But I think it comes down to the way my brain works and my imagination. Because my whole life I've been described as someone with a big imagination. Like, when you're in grade school and the teachers are talking to your parents about, oh, he can't sit still, he's distracting his classmates, he's very smart, but this, and that, right? That was me. And they always circle back to, he has a very big imagination. And, I mean, maybe it comes with the ADHD, I don't know. But I live in a fantasy world, right? And I think that's where it comes from. The writing and the ability to write. And why, when I think of a conversation or when I'm writing, I think of where I'm going to put a camera in a certain scene and how I'm going to move it and how the actors are going to move and how everything is playing out. Like, I can see it. I can see it in my head. And I absolutely love that. But I hate the fact that I can't grab it. It's a dream. And it's always right there in front of me. But it's so far away, and every time I reach out, it slips through my fingers, or I don't touch it at all because I'm so far away. And I have all these other things sitting in front of me. School, and work, and just regular life that I go through. And it's crazy. Because what if I could just drop everything? What if I could drop school? Drop out of work and just write and sell a screenplay and get recognized. But that's a dream. I mean, it's the biggest dream of... It's a big fucking dream. And I write in Final Draft, and I copyright my work with the Writers Guild, and I mean, I want to enter a contest. And here I am talking about, I can write so well. I'm not even confident enough in my work that I can win a contest. Because there's people out there that they're so fucking talented. Like, they're so fucking talented. And I look at screenplays and I look at film, and I think, I'm below these people. I'm a 20-year-old idiot with this little laptop just smashing away at the keyboard for hours on end, getting pages out because it's what he loves to do. And one of my idols right now, one of the guys that I really look up to in film, Cooper Raiff. He's got two films. Both I adore. Absolutely adore his two films. Shithouse and Cha Cha Real Smooth. Now, I watched Cha Cha Real Smooth when I was in high school, around the time it came out, I think, and I loved it. I thought I was going to cry. It was so good, and it was so real, and it was so grounded, and I explained my screenplays, and I explained his movies to a friend of mine recently, and they said, slice of life, and I thought, that's a way you could describe it, sure. And then this past summer, after I finished my sophomore year of college, my first year away from my parents, wasn't my freshman year, I still lived at home, but I watched Shithouse, and I broke. Like, I cried my fucking eyes out watching that movie. And when I was watching it, that's when I started writing my most recent screenplay, the one I just finished in early August. And seeing something so real on screen, something more real than I'd ever seen in my life, that reignited the spark for wanting to make movies, because I've been in school for a while, pursuing a career that has nothing to do with film. And it could have something to do with film, but not the way I want it to. But I was in a relationship, and I was straying away from the idea of ever making a movie. You know, I was focused on that relationship, and I was focused on school, and I was focused on this career that I thought I wanted to have, which I still think I want to have. I don't know. I'm 20 years old. Who knows where I'm going to be at? But when I watched that film, it all came back. I'd gotten out of that relationship, and I'd started making decisions not based on societal norms and going to college and getting a career path and all these things my professors had been telling me. I brought the idea back of making movies. And it went away again for a little while I was writing the movie, while I was working and going to the gym and just living with my parents for the summer. You know, I was thinking about other things, school, whatnot, what I'm going to do. And then, even more recently, in the past couple of weeks, I went to see Blink twice by Zoe Kravitz. And let me tell you, about 5 minutes into that movie, I was the only person in the theater, don't worry. 5 minutes into the movie, I audibly said, I want to make movies. I want to make movies. I want to do what these guys do. I want to get behind a camera. I want to write a screenplay. I want to work with the actors and the sets and bring this vision that sits in the back of my mind to the front. And I want to see it play out on screen. And I want other people to enjoy it. Because it's not just for me, right? These things that I conjure up. I'm not writing it just for me. I'm writing it for everybody. I'm writing things that are real. I'm writing things that I want people to relate to, that I think people will relate to, because we have shared life experiences. I'm not the only person who's gone through a heartbreak. I'm not the only person who's lived in multiple places, gone to multiple high schools, and depression and anxiety and lack of self-worth. All these things that I bring into my writing, other people have experienced too. And to make a film real and for other people to enjoy, have enjoyment, and be happy about, I want that. And that's why I want to make movies. Because I want people to enjoy themselves and feel a connection. Yeah, I want to make movies.